uwager.lv, sportsbook, and casino. Sign up today at uwager.lv, the premier online sportsbook, taking wagers since 1998. The most player-friendly lines, weekly juice specials, and a true dime line in MLB. Unique casino platforms with thousands of games. Play poker, high stakes, low stakes, or tournament play. uwager.lv, what we offer. Free same-day payouts. Customer service and wagering support, 24/7, year-round. Free monthly rebates on your action and daily casino rebates. Contests, free bets, best bonuses, and giveaways. Generous referral program. Get an 80% free play bonus on your first deposit, up to $1,000. Sign up today, and use promo code SPORTSWEB. Remember, you can't win if you don't play.
What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another edition of the Evolution of Sports Talk Television here on a free agency Monday. Happy Monday. Are you guys ready for the Evolution of Sports Talk Television? It's the Sports Web. I'm your host, Peter Blake, giving you something to think about. And how do we start off this show as I'm going to sit back and laugh for just a moment, right? Bring your passion, bring your excitement. Just don't bring any nonsense. On tonight's show, of course, I have my co-host, Mr. Harry the Greek, professional handicapper extraordinaire of 1252 Chicago Sports. We'll have JC Allen, a Pewter Report, taking your questions because I want to hear from you tonight. 727-255-0391. It's 727-255-0391. Again, 727-409-7528. Again, 727-409-7528. And at 9:45, we'll have Jason Powers on Sports podcast. And, of course, No Quarter Given podcast on the buckpower.com podcasting network. I got to tell you, man, I think I told you so. And I hate to be the guy that pats himself on the back, but when are some of you Bucs fans going to learn? When are you going to learn? All I heard throughout the last, month and a half, which, by the way, I just want to go back to. I mean, how many times can we say a team doesn't have cap? And how many times does this organization rise to the occasion? How many times do they have to show you that they're committed to winning? When there are fans out there still saying this team is about to tank. Resign Jamel Dean today. 4 years, $52 million. Most likely they still have money left over. You know why? Because those guys out there know what they're doing over there at One Buck Place. Jason Light and company, they're like friggin' magicians. They're like David Copperfield with some of the things they've done over there. Now you lose Nacho. I get it, to the New York Giants. And still Levante David hasn't been signed yet. But give this team credit. Give this organization credit. The Glazers are in it to win it. Jason Light is in it to win it. Mike Greenberg is in it to win it. They're not ready to go off into the good night, my friend. They're not done yet. So I want to hear from you. As you can tell, I'm pretty pumped up tonight. 727-255-0391. It's 727-255-0391. No crickets tonight. Get on the phone lines. Ask questions to Harry the Greek. Ask questions to JC Allen. Ask questions to Jason Powers. Let's get on with it. Let's go ahead and get his walk-up music on. Here we go. Professional handicapper extraordinaire of 1252 Chicago Sports, who I know you're absolutely ecstatic about what your Chicago Bears did today. Welcome to the Sports Web, Harry the Greek. How you doing tonight?
Good evening, Peter. How are you?
Doing great. I'm excited. I know there's a lot of people out there that are excited about what the Bucs did today. So without further ado, let's go ahead and go out to Mr. JC Allen, a Pewter Report. I mean, where do we start here?
There's the beautiful avatar.
Yes, there it is. There it is. Absolutely. Mr. JC, welcome to the Sports Web. And we got to start out with Jamel Dean. I mean, 4 years, $52 million. He's a top cornerback out there on the free agent market. The talk is $18 million, and somehow Jason Light and company get him to take 13. Make some sense of him, my friend. Welcome to the Evolution.
Hey, what's going on, Peter? What's going on there, Harry?
Hey,
Harry, I
buddy,
bet you're smiling ear to ear right now.
I'm happy. Both teams. I love it. Jamal Dean signs. The Bears are getting everybody they wanted. I mean, it's a beautiful day in Tampa Bay.
Yeah, so the Dean thing, I thought he was as good as gone. I know there's going to be a market for him. One of the best press man corners in the league. I truly think that if he was healthy, he would have been an undeserving snub from any all-pro consideration. He was that good last year before he got banged up towards the end of the year and dealt with that illness. But I really think when you look at the landscape, it's been moving pretty slow. We've seen a few big money deals, but not too much. At the end of the day, I think his heart was always in Tampa Bay. I don't think he ever really wanted to leave here. I know he's got a great relationship with Todd Bowles. Speaking with Jamel earlier, he's excited. You know, he's feeling great. Pretty much, he's feeling great. And he never wanted to leave Tampa Bay in the first place. So it took a bit of a hometown discount for sure. Wanted to stay close to his family in Cocoa Beach as well, so they could see him play and be close. Those things weighed into it. When you look at the fact Florida has no state income tax versus other offers, that plays into it as well. 17 million somewhere else comes 13 million after taxes real quick. So I think all those things played into a factor. I know he's happy that he's sticking around. He keeps the Bucs secondary mostly intact. With Antoine Winfield and Carlton Davis, and it's a huge plus for the Bucs. Even in a cornerback draft like this that is incredibly deep, they don't have to rely on a rookie to become a day one starter, and can go in a different direction potentially with that first pick, whether that be making it, whether that be moving up, whether that be moving back. They got a big piece of the puzzle back. They're moving on to Levante David. We've seen the inside linebacker deals throughout the league. We'll see what number they settle on, if they can get it done, or if he goes somewhere else.
How good of a corner do you think he is in this league? Because I continue to tell people, and people say, well, interceptions, but kind of break it down for the people out there who don't understand the value of Dean to this team.
Yeah, I mean, he's incredible. I don't think he's hit his ceiling yet, but to see him grow, you go back to that DK Metcalf just burning him. That play is infamous in Bucs history. And where he is now, I think he's just such a better player, a better cornerback all around. He's really solid in run support. Rarely when he gets his body and arms wrapped around the defender do they break free of his tackle. As I said, press man coverage, he's one of the best in the league. He graded out as PFF's top 10 cornerback in the entire league last year. Very underrated. He played better than Carlton all season long. And I think that he really comes in here and will continue to grow. I don't think you've seen the best of Jamel Dean yet.
I got to tell you something about Jamel Dean, and a lot of people don't realize this. It's not about the interceptions with him, and his JCA probably knows this as well, and so does everybody else. He's one of the better press corners in the game.
Yeah.
Okay, he really is.
Probably top 5 right now.
Yeah, I'd even go top 4. I'm going to be honest with you. I really do, because I don't know who that fifth one would. You know what? You're probably right on that one. I mean, look, man, he's really good. There's not many people that can play man up like Jamel Dean. It was a great signing for Tampa Bay to get him, and especially at a hometown discount like that.
Right, and you've seen the things that he's improved on. I mean, go back to that Giants game 2 years or 3 years ago now, when he was just bit on the double moves over and over again, and they just got behind him for big chunk gains and touchdowns. That has been, pretty much. I mean, every corner is going to have their play, but it's not a consistent base. That got completely taken out of his system. He doesn't bite on those double moves as hard as he used to, and he's got the closing speed to make up any gaps if he does have a momentary hesitation. And he's learning to play within the strengths of this defense. This defense makes him look good. Yeah, the interceptions don't necessarily come there. He got a few in bunches last season. But for a guy who's going to essentially, your number 2 cornerback to erase one side of the field while your other cornerback is attempting to erase the other side of the field, it's a huge advantage to the Bucs, and they didn't want to lose that.
No, absolutely not.
Yeah, and I tell you, the other question is, how surprised were you to lose Nacho today, and how much of a loss is that to this defensive line rotation? Because right now you're looking at it, you have Vea, and then who else? I mean, there's a lot of changes on that defensive line coming, right?
Right. The only 2 players under contract right now are Vita Vea and Logan Hall. Everyone else is a free agent. Pat O'Connor, Akeem Hicks, Rakeem Nunez-Roches, who signed with the Giants, as you mentioned. He was a free agent, as well as Deidrin Sanat. So there's going to be new players, younger players, faster players on the defensive line. Bottom of the roster turnover, and that's really what Nacho was. He was bottom of the roster rotational guy. Those positions need to be turned over every couple of years. You can't hold on to a guy too late. Nacho, I think, brings a lot of energy. I had the Bucs re-signing him in my battle plan that recently came out. Thought he brought a lot of good energy. Wasn't going to cost much, and as your top backup for Vea. But Bowles and Light said, younger, faster, stronger, smarter. That's what they want on this team. And for everything that Nacho brings as a solid run defender and a high energy guy and a trash talker, he's not an explosive pass rusher. He had his first 2 sacks of his Bucs tenure just this year, and that was due to extensive playing time because Akeem Hicks was out. It wasn't even in a rotational role, so he's not gonna, as good of a. You can find run stuffers everywhere. You need the pass rushers. You need the young, speedy guys. And right now, the only one that they have is Logan Hall, but he's got a lot of body transformation to do this offseason before you know what you have in him. So it was just time to move on.
Yeah, I mean, do you think it becomes more of a need there at 19, or does it come where? And I think, like you, I saw your battle plan. I like your battle plan where you trade down. Do you think it's more now of a certainty that they would trade down because they do have so many needs on that defensive line? Does that become the number one priority in your opinion, JC?
Well, I don't know if defensive line becomes number one priority. I mean, you got to kind of, the Bucs definitely need starters. I think on the field, but I think they also feel like, the draft is very deep in certain positions, and especially in those middle rounds.
Okay.
I feel like they think they could potentially address a starting position in the second round, maybe even as late as 50, with how deep this draft class is in certain positions. So it's really going to depend on where they want to go with this. But defensive line, Kalijah Cansey could be there. And maybe they're high on him. He's small in every facet of the way, but he's quick. So he's got that going for him, and that gives you speed in the young pass rusher. Obviously, Penn State, people want to compare him to Aaron Donald. I don't see the similarities necessarily as much, except for his speed ability. But maybe they want to go Brian Branch, 19. He can play the slot. He can play, multiple positions. You can draft another safety and bring Logan Ryan back if you wanted to.
Right.
There's a lot of different routes they could take there. Offensive line, I think they really give Gedeke a chance to start at right tackle. He was a second-round pick. He did perform well in that last game. It was his natural position. You could feel he was more comfortable there. I think, maybe you sign a veteran swing tackle that has starting experience in case he falters and needs to be taken out of the lineup. But at least that you got to move on from him after year 2, and you're not sitting around waiting a few years to address the spot. So maybe tackle comes there if they feel like he's not going to be ready. So there's multiple routes they can go right now. Linebacker.
Hey, Josh, I got a question for you. I think one of the biggest needs, I think they're going to be able to find somebody in free agency, and I think they may even be able to re-sign some of the defensive linemen. I don't know if they're going to draft one that quickly. I think you might agree with me on this, but don't you think this team really needs a safety? I would probably pick one up in that first part of that draft with their first round pick. How deep are they at safety this year?
Yeah, right now they have Antoine Winfield Jr. and Nolan Turner. That's it. Keanu Neal.
No, I'm talking about in the draft. I mean, how deep is this draft class?
There's a few guys I like. I really, if you read Pewter Report, we're all drawn to Brian Branch, and that's for a reason. Bowles loves safeties. He was a safety. He was a safeties coach. It's his favorite position on the field to coach. They need a safety or another guy who can play the slot to keep Antoine Winfield at free safety. He gives you that ability to kind of be very multiple in the back end as far as that safety nickel cornerback rotation. And it's not entirely possible they don't double dip at that position. Light loves to double dip, and they're going to need 2 guys back there, essentially. They're going to need a guy who can kind of fill that hard-hitting run stuffing role, play closer to the box on certain downs, and then they're going to need the guy who can play that corner position, that nickel corner position, that slot position, or can play free safety to let Antoine Winfield play there. So a guy I like in the 3rd round to fill that strong safety spot. If they don't go Branch, Jamie Robinson out of Florida State.
That's good.
Versatile guy, does his best work in the box, but can play in the slot, can play free safety. He's played all over the place. I like him a lot. There's some other guys. Hellman's from Alabama. I think he's a good safety that you could probably get later in the fifth round area. I think he'd be a good pick. Cindy Brown is another guy who I think could come in and be a good player for them. So they've got options in that 1st, 2nd, 3rd round window where they're going to be picking, where there's going to be guys available that they'll be able to take either at 19 or potentially trade down and pick up a couple picks and grab one of them if they like, if they want to address the safety position that way. And I think they will. I wouldn't rule out Logan Ryan or Keanu Neal coming back, although I think they prefer Logan Ryan because of his versatility. But if you look at the contracts that some of these safeties are getting today, Jesse Bates got $16 million a year. Remember, Antoine Field Jr. heading into the last year of his contract.
Right.
If he balls out, makes an all-pro, he's looking at $16 million a year. So you need a young guy on a rookie contract next to him.
We're on with JC Allen of Pewter Report. I'm your host, Peter Blake, along with my co-host, Mr. Harry the Greek, professional handicapper extraordinaire at 1252 Chicago Sports. Staying on that offensive line, Shaq Mason, what's the latest with him? We hear about trade rumors, then he's going to be released. Where do the Bucs stand on this at this point?
Yeah, so they have really until March 15th. They're not in a quick hurry to just cut him outright, especially seeing some of the prices that some of these guards got. You know, the who's the guy that you guys just signed? Not Ben Powers.
It's the kid from Tennessee. It's on the
Nate
tip of my
Davis.
tongue.
Nate
Yes,
Davis.
yes.
Nate
He
Davis.
just, he got, I believe, 10 million from them. Shaq's only making 8.5. Was one of the best, one of the top guards in the league. They group him by position, not right or left, and he was in the top 20 of those. So he's still a solid player. If the Bucs can get a 6th round pick, or maybe take one of their extra fifths they have, package it with Shaq Mason, move into the 4th with or without a pick, I think that's something they'll do. And again, they have until March 15th to do that. At 4:00 once free agency officially starts. Remember, this is just a tampering period. Nothing is official. Teams don't have to be cap compliant to agree to deals at this time. They just need to make sure they're cap compliant when 4:00 hits. It's either 12 or 4:00 hits on Wednesday. Then they have to make sure they're cap compliant and then, sign contracts whichever way they want. So there's definitely
I hear nobody's been kicking the tires on them, and my inside source is saying that they're just going to release them because they're going to try to save the money on the cap space. I think they should re-sign him. I think they really need to re-sign him somehow, but where are you going to get the extra cash for that from? And that's the troubling thing, JCA.
Yeah, and they can restructure him and add void years and bring his cap hit down, open about $4 million in cap space. They can re-sign him, obviously, and bring that cap hit down as well. But it looks like they're looking to move on, and I think guard will be a position to watch in the draft as well. Bowles said at the combine that they're looking to get bigger on the interior. And you look at Shaq Mason, 6'2". It's not exactly a huge guy. I think he's looking to get some more size, like when they had Alex Kappa in there, that 6'6", 6'5", 6'6" type range, type of athlete, that big, with some big mass, 300, 325, somewhere in that range.
That's a big guard, brother.
Right. And I think they're looking for something like that, compared to what they had from Shaq. So they're going to save money either way. And there's no dead money attached to it. That's going to affect anything else that hasn't already been accounted for. So if you can get a 6th, even a 7th round draft pick for them, it's worth cutting them for nothing, and they'll extend that right until they can until Wednesday.
Is it because of Robert Hansey? I mean, is it because of his development? That's the reason why they're willing to move on from Shaq at right guard?
I don't think so.
Money.
I think, Robert Hainsey, they like what they've seen out of him, but it's not necessarily a lock that Hainsey, Leverett, Walton, they like all 3 of those guys. Okay. That any of those guys are going to be the actual starter. It's going to really depend on a lot of different things. Free agency hasn't even been open for 12 hours yet. And it's not even real free agency. Bucs are going to plod along. They're going to try to re-sign Levante David, and then I wouldn't expect a flurry of signings. I would, if they're going to be in the Baker sweepstakes, and if Baker chooses the Bucs, they could hammer out a deal. Maybe the first 3 things you'll hear from the Bucs are Dean, Levante, and Baker, and then it'll be kind of quiet. Things will trickle in. They're looking for value. They're looking for cheap guys. They're looking for guys that can come in and that have upside, maybe injury histories or whatnot, and turn their career around for them. That's
you just described 26. You just described the wishes of 26 teams in the National Football League.
Exactly, and that's
when you mentioned about Baker Mayfield, JC, I was talking about this a month, 2 months ago, and I says, you know what? I says he's probably going to become available, depending on what's going to happen with Matt Stafford. Is going to be totally depending on whether or not the Rams want to re-sign him. I would love to see Baker Mayfield in a Buccaneer uniform. But unfortunately, I think it's going to end up having to pay a lot of money for him because a lot of teams are going to be vying for his services. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I think there will be teams definitely looking to add him. But if you look around the league, some of these spots, teams are signing up. Case Keenum joining the Texans when they have Davis Mills, and they're going to probably draft Bryce Young. Then you look at Mike White going to the Dolphins. That's a backup spot where you could potentially have starter snaps if Tua gets injured, and maybe ride out the rest of the season if he gets injured for the season. And Houston, if Bryce Young falters, now you're next in line, battling Davis Mills. So I think that was an attractive spot. The Bucs offer the most attractive spot though right now because they offer a spot to compete. He's not going back to Carolina. We know that, and they're going to draft a quarterback. So, looking around the landscape of the league, who offers the best roster, best position to start, and then you kick in all the other factors. It's Florida, and there's no state sales tax, and it's Florida. So and then even just schematically wise, I mean, if you look at what Baker was just in, was what Sean McVay's offense. Well, who's just the offensive coordinator for the Seattle Seahawks?
Dave Canales, yeah,
and it was Sean McVay's right-hand man that he served under. So, like he's bringing parts of McVay's offense, and if you got a quarterback that knows some of the terminology of the plays and how they run it because you spent a half a season there, it makes a lot of sense. I just think you bring Baker, you're pretty much saying you're giving up on Trask before it even starts. That's the only thing that I'm saying. And if you do want Baker, then you need to bring in lower name prospects, guys that I outlined, like a Drew Lock or a Taylor Heineke, guys, a guy that the fans aren't going to be clamoring for the Bucs to start unless Trask is really bad, but still provide veteran guys who have over 20 snaps apiece in the league. And Heineke's played in some really good games. Oh, and beat the Bucs twice.
I got to ask you this because I know, Harry, you want to ask your question, but I got to ask this. And I've been throwing this out there. 26-year-old quarterbacks don't grow on trees. Yep. J.C. Cornell was throwing it out there today. He said, Tampa Bay, don't give up on Lamar Jackson. I don't necessarily think it's all about guaranteed money, and I'll tell you why. I think he wants out of Baltimore. I think that's the reason why he doesn't have an agent. I think he feels disrespected because that team has never gotten him a number wide receiver, let alone a number two. And then furthermore, a guy like Roquan Smith, who was there for about 2 minutes, gets $100 million. Who's to say that the cap wizards over there at One Buck Place couldn't get a Lamar Jackson? And let me ask you, JC, if you're the general manager of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, you know how difficult it is to find a franchise quarterback. Lamar Jackson in the Bucs uniform. How does that sound?
It sounds wonderful. I mean, I think he'd fit the offense to an absolute T. He's a playmaker with his arm and with his legs. People, I'm not the biggest Lamar Jackson fan, but he did win an MVP, and he has been a dynamic playmaker when healthy. Just hasn't been surrounded with the weapons. I think it's going to come. It comes down to the ownership. Really, I don't think it comes down to Jason Light. I don't think it comes down to Coach Bowles. I think it comes down to the Glazers. Now they're going to listen to their advisors because that's what they hire them for. But at the end of the day, if they say, "Well, I want this guy, go get him," like this is, I don't care what it costs. 2 first-round picks. What do I got to pay? $200 million guaranteed. Whatever. Go get this guy. This is who I want. That's all it takes. And what are you going to do? No, I quit.
Right.
So right. Like, I mean, it comes down to the Glazers and do they want it to happen? Now we know the last 3 years has been nothing but profitable for the Glazer family. Brady's in town. Season tickets sales are up. Merchandise sales are up. The Bucs are mentioned every week, every day on every sports channel. There's a story about the Bucs and about this team, whether they're doing well or whether they're doing bad. You locked in season ticket holders to 2 years with a down year in Brady's last season, just horrendous games to watch. And then, Now you lock him in for a questionable year with maybe Kyle Trask at the helm, So, there's been a lot of money made. And if they want to keep that going, if they want to keep that spotlight, they want to keep that cash flow incoming, then they could put their foot down and say, go get Lamar. We want him. And that could be it. That could be the Bucs could land him. But there's a way to structure the contract so that they can fit him under the cap and everything like that. They'll make the moves necessary to do that. But I just find it highly unlikely that they do that. Although I have said too in the past, I don't know if the Bucs are going to settle for just any Joe Schmo after Brady leaves. I don't know if the Glazers, again, let's go straight to ownership, if they're going to want to go slide back into mediocrity after living in the spotlight for the last 3 years.
Yeah, I mean, it just doesn't make any sense to me. And everybody keeps on saying, well, they won't play the guaranteed money. Well, how do you know the man wants the guaranteed money? Everybody's throwing that out there. Maybe
you don't know.
Right.
He's actually
no idea.
Peter, he's actually stipulated that's what he's looking for. He's looking for the stability. He's looking for the guaranteed money. He's not stupid.
Well, but here's the thing, Harry. Here's the thing. You got Jason Light, who just took a corner, who supposedly was going to get $17 to $18 million, and convinced them to take $13 million.
And think about it. Think about it too. How many years now, especially since Brady joined, have we praised Mike Greenberg and Jackie Davidson and Jason Light for the job that they do? The job that he's the Glazer seal. That's the job that they do, manipulating the cap and fitting these guys in the wizards. They've seen the memes of them as wizards and stuff like they've seen all that stuff.
Right.
So what's taken to them like Jason and Greenberg go, it's going to be tight. It's going to be tight to fit in. Well, just do your wizard stuff, and make it happen. It could happen. I'm not saying that there's a strong possibility. I'm not saying that there is no possibility. It's all going to come down from ownership, and that's about it. But, I mean, he is a guy who, he is from Florida, not Tampa, obviously. But, Miami's only about a 4-hour drive away. I just did it 3 weeks ago. So, and he's not driving unless he's getting driven, or he's taking a 40-minute private plane back to Miami if he needs to go, So I just think that it's a long shot. I'd put about 5, maybe 7%, but there's still a percentage and it's not 0.
Yep. There you go. All right, Harry, you got a question?
I have a more realistic question. It's not about Lamar Jackson. Sorry, they're just not going to spend that kind of money.
Right. I mean, 26-year-old quarterbacks don't grow on trees.
You've made that point.
It comes down to the Glazers and what they want to do. I think they would be willing to spend the money if that's what they want to do.
But we're jumping ahead of ourselves. They're going to match his offer. Everybody's talking about how rotten the Baltimore Ravens organization is.
Harry, that's the key right there. You're saying it right there, is that if he doesn't want to be in Baltimore and Baltimore knows that, it might not even be about an offer sheet. It might just be about, here's 2 first-round picks, sign them to whatever contract you want. We're not going to match.
Well, that's why, and that can be, but the more realistic but the more realistic thing that I'm thinking of, that's why they tagged him the way they did, JCA. First off, the guy's got no agent. Okay, so he has no communication through back channels with the other 5 said teams, like the Washington football team or the Commanders this year, whatever their name is, the Carolina Panthers, the the Atlanta Falcons, and whoever the other teams were. Right. He doesn't have the back channels to even communicate with them. That poses a really big problem. He wants guaranteed money, and he has said this about Deshaun Watson. He wants that kind of money. And here's the bottom line. He has said nothing negative. And this is something that I've been really following closely. He has said nothing negative about Baltimore's organization, and Baltimore has expressed 0 interest on getting rid of him. They just said, we're tagging him this way. Go ahead and shop yourself. We have first right to refuse. That's it.
I disagree.
You
pay a guy like Roquan Smith, who's been there 2 minutes, $100 million. That is a smack in the face to my franchise quarterback.
Also, Roquan hasn't been hurt.
It doesn't matter.
Well, Harry does make some good points. So Lamar doing this without an agent is definitely hindering his ability. He doesn't have the agent being able to talk to someone that is a source in the building and kind of having them in his corner and pushing like, you sure we shouldn't check into Lamar? Like, I know we said we weren't publicly, but you sure we shouldn't check into it in the ear of someone like that? He doesn't have those people. He doesn't have someone generating that buzz. He's pretty much what he is right now is a door-to-door salesman without any leads, knocking on GM's doors saying, this is what I want. Do you want to pay it to me?
Knocking on general managers' doors. But anyway, the realistic
question. Some
question.
consultation working for him that's not an official agent, but
JC, the realistic question that I had for you was, and I'm not saying it's going to happen because he's still under contract, but again, I mean, I don't think that I'd love to see Baker Mayfield come to Tampa Bay, but I just think it's going to end up costing a ton of money because a lot of people are going to be vying for his services. So let's talk about that mid-tier quarterback that has been battle tested, that probably wouldn't take too much. And everybody knows that Houston's going after a quarterback. Why can't they go after a Davis Mills and give up a late round draft pick? What do you think about Davis Mills possibly in a Buccaneer uniform?
I'm telling you,
can you see that happening? I'm asking JC, and I already know your opinion.
Well, here's the thing. It actually could happen because they just signed Case Keenum. I wasn't gonna try to distract you from your point.
I was just gonna say I don't know if they have a jersey that could fit around his neck, but no. In all seriousness, they took Kyle Trask over Davis Mills, so I don't know why they would be interested in trading for Davis Mills. If anything, you're looking at the other name that's been linked to the Bucs, the Jacoby Brissett. I think he's backup plan number one, and then maybe some sort of Taylor Heineke or.
I like Tyler Heineke.
Maybe find out what's between door number 5. I don't know. At that point, maybe it's Hendon Hooker. Maybe they get to the third round, he's still there, and they draft Hendon Hooker.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls from around the world, let's look behind door number 10, the quarterback carousel. Here we come.
Well, I tell you right now, everybody doesn't necessarily just want to talk about quarterback. We're on with JC Allen up. Pewter Report. Levante David, what do you think his status is? A lot of people kind of up in arms, but it was to be expected that David was going to test free agency. What's the latest with his situation and him coming back and re-signing with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers?
Well, I think David at this point wants to play where he has a chance to compete, and depending on what moves the Bucs make here, I think that will kind of persuade him, or at least he's going to give the Bucs a courtesy call no matter what. That's just the relationship he has with this team. They're not ending on bad terms as they end. So far, the team that I've heard that was shown the most interest, I thought it would have been Miami. I thought he would have been a perfect fit in that defense. He lives there. It would have been a perfect place for him to go. But they decided to sign 2 other players. So he's not going to – it doesn't look like he's going to end up there. But the Buffalo Bills have shown interest. But, again, you're moving to New York from Florida. You live in Miami.
Lots of taxes.
I mean, it's lots of taxes. I just don't know. The money would have to be extremely far apart. And looking at these linebacker deals around the league, I really don't know if it's going to be. And, you factor in the taxes. You factor in the familiarity. You factor in the warmth. You factor in, distance to home, which is Miami. And I think all those kind of weigh over whatever the other offer, especially if it's from Buffalo, is going to be. And it ultimately signs back. It's just the way the Bucs are doing this right now. I could 9.5 maybe, with incentives to bring it up. I don't know how they would factor the cap, but I think the best landing spot, especially because another linebacker off the board, Caden Ellis, is headed to Atlanta on a 3-year, $21.5 million deal. These linebackers are just getting signed. Eric Kendricks to Los Angeles. But the market appears to be shrinking on him, and it's going to be interesting. And I think he probably at this point ends up on Tampa Bay on a team-friendly deal and just stays where he's comfortable.
What about a Devin White? I mean, we heard, possibly he was putting some cryptic stuff out there, and then he was saying, let's ride. I mean, Is there going to be a problem, do you think, getting him as an extension done? Could he be possibly on the trade block if you re-sign a Levante David? Or, again, is it just much to do about nothing and just Devin White throwing it out there on social media?
Oh, he's probably getting 5 for 105.
Okay.
The Bucs
Really?
love
That much?
The Bucs love this guy. I think he'll want to top Roquan Smith for sure. He's stated since he came in the league he wants to be a $20 million player. I think the league views him that way. If he were to hit the open market, he'd probably get more. He'd probably get like 110. And I think that the Bucs want to keep him. They're going to have to pay him the money to keep him. The problem is, again, I've mentioned the safety market. You might have to be paying out Antoine Winfield Jr. $16 million, and then
you think he's going to command that much?
Tristan Wirf's fifth-year option is going to be $18 million. So you're looking at a lot of money that the Bucs have to invest in some of these players, and they have a lot of dead money coming up from void hits and whatnot. If he has an All-Pro season, yeah, Antoine Winfield's probably worth 16. Jesse Bates only has one All-Pro season. Antoine Winfield Jr. has, a Pro Bowl season, and if slot cornerback was somewhere where you could vote for on the Pro Bowl ballot, he'd probably be the starting slot corner, or maybe emergency or backups. He'd still make the Pro Bowl, I think, even missing so many games. He was just that good when he was in there. So, I think, if he stays at one position, or that position, especially if that's free safety next year, I definitely think that he could, and he has a healthy season and continues to expand, he could be an All-Pro and command $16 million for sure.
All right. And Miss Allen says, Peter, Harry, and JC. And she says, Cannon and Haley say hi. Hi, guys. How you doing? Remember me? I'm your Uncle Peter. JC, go ahead and promote yourself here on The Evolution.
So you guys can find me at JC Allen NFL. That's my Twitter handle. Find all of our work over at pewterreport.com, Pewter Report TV. We got podcasts every night this week at 7, breaking down the Bucs free agency moves. How about this? How about some wrestling real quick?
Yeah, some wrestling really quick.
Edge and Finn Balor in a Hell in a Cell at WrestleMania.
It's not Friday.
In the cell, yes.
And it looks like we're going to maybe see the Demon come back, too, for this match, which would be awesome.
Full disclosure, guys, I'd rather shoot drugs in my eyeball.
You know what? This is what I think about that statement.
This guy sucks.
Look, we talk wrestling definitely on this show.
Got
time you want. You got also Bray Wyatt going out there. Looks like he was injured or going away. People were saying he's quit WWE.
I saw that. What are they going to do with Bobby Lashley? They've been trying to build this terrible storyline up.
It's terrible. It's a terrible.
I say trade him for a 3rd-round pick. What do you think, JC?
Bobby Lashley, I'd say you keep, but I think you trade Omos for a conditional 8th rounder if they exist.
8th rounder? Okay.
Omos should not have any trade value at all.
Oh my goodness!
All right, now that we got our daily dose of diarrhea talking about,
wait till you watch Raw. He tried to shove Lesnar out of the ring with one hand and completely botched it. He's just so terrible.
It's terrible. I don't know.
Get my vein going. Hang on.
Him or the Great Khali at the end of the day. I think Great Khali is actually a better wrestler. I'd rather see.
Honey, can I have my tourniquet?
Better on the mic, at least.
Right. Exactly. All right. Good stuff, my friend. What else? Anything else?
No, I'm excited to see Cena versus Theory. I think Cena just absolutely roasted him. But when Cena was roasting him last Monday, I was like, damn, like this is exactly why I don't care about Theory. You're really like cutting a cord. I felt bad for Theory by the end of it. So I think that's going to be a good match. It's a lose-lose no matter what for Theory, but we'll see how that plays out. And then I'm a sucker for Seth Rollins. So his storyline with Logan Paul is going to be good. I just hope Logan Paul doesn't get the stupid win over him.
Yeah, I agree with you on that, but I feel like they're really promoting Logan Paul. That could be a really good match. And of course, who could forget about Cody Rhodes versus Roman Reigns? I mean, do you think
I forgot about him already?
I forgot about it already.
Because you should, definitely do your research and your homework.
Oh yeah. Let's talk about a grown man soap opera. Will you stop it?
You shut up and be quiet.
Shut up!
All right, listen. Cody Rhodes, really quick. Does he get over on Roman Reigns?
He needs to, and
right?
KO and Sammy need to get over on the Usos, and then I'm gonna split these titles back up because this is getting ridiculous. It's not or introduce the new titles. You can introduce new titles or old title, bring back old titles still and split these titles up, and it'd still be better than what's going on right now. It's super annoying. There's too many good superstars to have all these belts tied up with just 3 guys. So split those things up as soon as possible. And I want to redraft.
I'd rather marry a farmer, or I'd rather watch something like what do they call that? Oh, hang on, what do they call that?
Shut
The
up.
Voice.
Why? What? Real quick, I'm gonna throw this out at you, JC, and then we'll get you out of here on this. Kenny Omega to WWE. Does that work for you or what?
You know what? I don't watch AEW, so I don't know much about Kenny Omega.
Thank you,
So,
Jesus.
Do your research. He's a really great wrestler.
I know. I've heard the name. I know he's good. I just don't know his wrestling style or anything like that.
Oh,
so
Lord have mercy.
I'll have to check out one of these shows soon, but I don't know.
Guys, I think we got some breaking news. Would you shut up about our Kyle?
Our Kyle, who art in heaven.
Well, can we check this out here, guys?
LRB thy arm.
It looks like Jameis Winston went back to the Saints for $8 million. Can that be
old news?
I don't know if it's $8 million, but he definitely
$8 million 1 year.
I can't believe it.
He went. So
they know his value. He should be playing in Tampa.
He should be playing somewhere where he can get a starting job instead
of.
Well,
hey, I'm sure the Saints gave his agents the ability to go look for something else. That just says what's out there for Jameis Winston. He got benched by the team last year when he was healthy for Andy Dalton, and the team went out and replaced him with a $35 million quarterback, and now he's a backup. Listen, that's Jameis Winston.
Well, I tell you right now, you want to talk about something that we don't want to talk about. Never ever talk about Andy Dalton being the Bucs starting quarterback, because then I would definitely have to turn off this program.
I think they'd rather roll with trash the entire season than let that happen.
Hey, let me tell you something.
Maybe Andy bring back our buddy Reed Sinnett.
Listen, Andy Dalton is not a bad backup. He's a great leader to have to actually not motivate.
Guys,
come on, Peter. No, seriously,
that's
not right.
He's Blaine Gabbert. He's a clipboard holder quarterback on the sidelines.
If he's holding the clipboard with this, he's had more success than Blaine Gabbert. I'm not saying he's
bring him in to be the number 2, but
that's what I'm saying.
I want my number 3 going in if my number 1 gets hurt.
Exactly. All right.
Great.
JC.
Glad you were on, JCA. Thanks for talking wrestling with us.
Always.
Hurry up when you can stay a little longer. Always.
Go ahead and promote yourself here on the Evolution.
Yeah, you guys can find me, JC Allen NFL, my Twitter handle. All the work's over at Pewter Report, Pewter Report TV. Check out our podcasts, Pewter Report at Twitter, pewterreport.com. And I'll pop back on here soon, guys. Talk to you maybe next.
Would love it. Can we find you at the AEW Raw Festival?
You know what?
Maybe I would go watch a takeover.
Absolutely, okay. Let's do it. Absolutely, good stuff, JC. Appreciate it.
Hey, shout out to Troy Polamalu too.
Yeah, there you go. I love that guy. Right, love that guy.
Later.
All right,
JC, take care of yourself, bud.
Good stuff there, JC Allen. Jason, I see you right
mercy.
there.
Here.
Stand by, Jason. I'm going to read these comments, and then we will get right back out to you. I know, Roger, you're calling in. You're excited about the Bears today. First, as always, the Bears win one of the free agency. LFG bear down. Really quick, let's go out to the Tribal Troll.
Acknowledge me.
Welcome, Roger Shue, to the Evolution. You're on with yours truly, along with Harry, the Greek professional handicapper extraordinaire.
Finally, the room got smarter.
Oh, shut up.
Acknowledge me. Yeah, I'm watching you guys from the bed with the flu. Hope you guys all doing great.
Right.
God, JC Allen talks forever.
Bro, he comes on. Listen, he comes on and gives us the Bucs information. If you're not going to call in, if nobody else is going to call in and bring any insight to the Bucs locker room, shut the hell up. Now go.
I'm worried about Harry the Greek. Harry the Greek, I think the Bears just killed day 1 of free agency. Do you agree?
I don't think they're done yet. I think they did very well. My favorite signing, believe it or not, is Tremaine Edmonds. I think he literally, Edmonds, you talk about a linebacker. That's great. My question is what are they going to do with him? He's really a 3-4 guy. But you know what? He's that hybrid kind of player. You know, he'll be able to plug into different areas. But let me tell you right now, I don't think they're done on the offensive line, and I think they're going to get someone else for their defensive line, and the rest of it will be built through the draft.
I agree.
All right, what else, Roger?
According to Brad Biggs, they're going to have Edwards playing middle linebacker.
Okay.
One more time.
You said Edmonds is going to play middle linebacker. Well, he should.
He could.
It's
He could play. I think he'd be more
$50
fit
million
for the weak side.
4-year deal worth $72 million.
And that, my friend, is a steal. Anybody know how old he is?
24,
He's
right?
24 years old.
24.
That's it.
Yeah.
And he's been in the league for 4 years.
Yep, already. It's a good move. It's a good move by Ryan.
4 years.
Poles.
Extraordinary. Ryan who?
Ryan Poles.
I thought you said Pace, and I'm like, what?
No, I didn't say Pace because Pace couldn't do what they did today in free agency.
No,
You guys
no.
killed
Okay,
it.
give me your opinion on Edmonds. What do you think of him?
Of who?
Edmonds, the middle
TJ
linebacker.
Edmonds.
Or TJ Edwards. TJ Edwards.
TJ Edwards.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah.
Yeah, you must be on your medication there, my friend.
I am.
Okay. Okay.
I told you, puff, puff, pass. Chicago had a really, really good day today. Really, really, really good day today.
All right, Roger. Thanks a lot for the
So-
time. Appreciate you. All right.
All right. So day 2 to the Chicago Bears get Orlando Brown.
I think if they don't sign him, they're going to sign another one, a different left tackle. But in my opinion, I think they're going to have to be able to play both sides because I think their future left tackle, without having to spend all the money, is currently on their roster. Don't be surprised to go after one of the other star defensive linemen that aren't going to sign for $100 million in guaranteed money.
What about McGarry?
I'm not really sure.
Okay. Well, I wanted your expert opinion, so
All right. Well, there you go,
Full-
Roger.
Full disclosure, I can give you the best I got. I'm a prognosticator more than anything, and I can rate after they've made these signings. But today, Chicago gets an A+ for what they signed and what they've done.
I think so.
And then they gotta
I think
go.
so.
They
Ryan
gotta
Poles
go.
doing a great job.
They got to go do it on the field because even though you're winning in free agency, it doesn't necessarily mean that it will translate on the field. But it's
I think it will this year, Peter. You lost 7 ball games by 1 score or less.
great.
Just saying.
Agreed.
Minnesota won
Here's now
11 ball games by 1 score or less this year. Just throwing that out there. So
Yep.
it can go either way. So your upside is a lot greater here.
And I think Aaron Rodgers is about to leave that division, so it's going to be
He-
yours. in
I'm
Detroit.
telling you now, if he doesn't leave tonight, he is not going.
I think he leaves whenever he wants to leave. Roger, thanks a lot for the call. Appreciate
All right,
you
have
as
a good
always,
night,
my
guys.
friend.
Oh, yeah.
Get better.
Roger,
healthy.
Captain and Coke, baby. Have one for me.
All right, let's go out to Jason Powers here. Powers on Sports Podcast. Of course, No Quarter Given podcast. Want to get your thoughts about Jamel Dean. Welcome to the Sports Web, my friend. How you doing?
What's going on? Yeah, and by the way, the Bears did sign at Edwards and at Edmonds. The guy
Edmonds.
from Buffalo.
Yes.
The
Yes.
linebacker from Buffalo they got is Edmonds. So
That kid's a
Good.
stud.
good player. That's a good signing.
Very good signing here. Let's talk about Dean and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. How surprised were you that they got him signed for not 17, not 18 million, $13 million? Pretty impressive by Jason Light and crew, right?
I would say so. That probably meant that he probably had an offer from another team that was right in that neighborhood, and maybe the Bucs went up a little bit higher than they want, than or matched the offer is probably what happened. Knowing Dean knows the system, going to be a starter. I think that means it's the end of Sean Murphy Bunny most likely. But yeah, good move by Jason Light. Give him credit.
And guys, I'm going to get out to the comments here in a moment because I definitely want to talk to Jason here. I mean, you lose Nacho there. Surprised by that. I mean, you knew you had some losses there, but losing Nacho, what's your thoughts on losing him on that defensive line rotation?
Not a big loss. I think this opens the door for them bringing back William Golston. I think Golston, obviously, with his community service in the area, his longevity in the league with the Buccaneers, I think he'll be a perfect guy you'll bring back as a rotational
I'd love
guy.
to see him back.
And again, I think he wants to be back. I think this is the kind of guy who wants to retire here. He's done a lot of great work in the community here, and they'll get him at a reasonable price, and he'll get an opportunity to mentor the young guys, Logan Hall, Shoyinka, and those other guys. And they'll probably draft an interior guy as well, I would imagine.
Akeem Hicks needs to come back. Let's make that first and foremost. You can still get him on the cheap. He's still one of the most dominating defensive linemen in the game, from stopping the run and rushing the passer from that particular position. And he's not going to come at a huge price tag because no one's really beaten down the door, and no one's even heard about him even seeking a trade. I think he likes it here in Tampa Bay.
What do you think about Jason Akeem Hicks back to Tampa?
I would say potentially, but I could see him being one of the kind of guys that waits this out a little bit. And if he's going to sign for a lesser number, would you rather sign with Philadelphia or a championship type team or come back to Tampa? I think he's probably going to I think he'll go to a contender at a lower rate, a 1-year deal kind of deal like he had here in Tampa. A team like Philly, a team like maybe Kansas City, somebody like that. That's going to be a contender. I think that's where he'll end up.
All right, I want to go and get interactive here. I'm going to read some comments here, Jason, and we'll all read some comments. Open phone lines. If you have a question for the Power Man himself, 727-255-0391. It's 727-255-0391. Again, 727-409-7528. Again, 727-409-7528. You got to get out of here, Harry, really quick.
Yeah, if that's cool. Is everything good?
Yeah, everything's good. Go ahead and promote yourself here before you get out of the sports web.
I've already promoted myself. I'm Harry the Greek. Keep your bets low and your returns high. You can catch me here Monday, Wednesdays, and sometimes on a Friday, either here on the sports web with Peter Blake or on 1252 Sports. Everybody, thank you. Have a really good night. Didn't really get a chance to really combat anything, but you know what? Great day, and it's really great to be in Tampa Bay, especially if you're a Chicago fan and a Bucs fan like myself.
All right, good
question for you, Harry the Greek, before you go.
What do you got, brother?
Give me a March Madness winner for Thursday or Friday. Who you like?
God, please stop. I couldn't pick basketball from throwing darts on a chalkboard.
Oh, come on. You can give us something here. Come on, stop teasing everybody.
I tell you what, you'll get it Wednesday night.
All right, Wednesday night.
No, seriously, you'll get it Wednesday night. Let me start looking at some lines. Let me start asking a few people.
Give me a winner, man. I need a winner.
Full disclosure, I will seek that advice from a guy that I do lean on heavily. And by the way, last year he was 17 for 20.
I hear you. That's what I like to hear.
So I am going to seek that man's advice, and full disclosure, I'm not taking credit for it.
There you go. It's okay.
Okay. When it comes to basketball, I seek elsewhere. Trust me, I've got enough to do, especially with handicap and football and baseball.
No wrestling.
Lord have wrestling.
You're not going to wrestling,
bro. I'd rather take a vial of heroin and shoot it in my eyeballs than listen to the stupid wrestling.
All right, Harry. See you later. Get out of here. Off with your head right there. Goodbye. See you later. All right, let's get interactive with these guys. Jason Bowers. Bears now own the NFC North.
Easy.
I know we talk about the Bucs here, but your thoughts on what the Bears did here today? Pretty impressive. They still could, in day 2, go after Orlando Brown Jr. I tell you what, let's hold off on that because we asked for phone calls. We're going to get out to phone calls here. Ron, welcome to Marine. Welcome to the Evolution. You're on with yours truly, along with Jason Powers. Powers on Sports Podcast, and of course, No Quarter Given Podcast on the Buck Power Podcast Network. Go.
What's going on, Mr. Peter Blake? Hey, how you doing, Jason?
What's going on? How you doing, man? Thanks for your service.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for your service. And I got to ask you, man, started out here, Jamel Dean being re-signed with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. How surprised were you by that?
I don't really know about like completely being surprised, surprised, but it did look a little bit dark area there, and like there was a probability that money would have caused him to have to go. I'm very happy about it, and things are going in the like I said, just when you thought we were maybe seeing some tougher days here, there's some deals that's been worked out, and so it's great. I mean, you can only tip your hat off to Greenberg and Light and the organization for making this happen. I know Harry was talking, and it was funny because Harry was kind of dreading going through the wrestling, and I said, I was going to call him and be like, hey man, don't make me put Harry through my singing little escapades with Peter Blake.
Yeah, we don't.
He'd be plugging his ears.
Yeah, we definitely. I know. I think you're singing a different tune today with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Do you feel more confident? And then I'll go on to you, Jason, about getting Levante David done with now getting Dean, because I know there was a lot of fans out there, Jason, and you could speak upon this because you go on Facebook groups and you're on Twitter that thought that, it was going to be a rebuild, and it very well may be a rebuild, but it certainly doesn't feel like a rebuild, and it certainly doesn't feel like a tank job. So with the signing today, with the restructures, do you feel confident in this organization here, Ron, that it isn't a tank?
No, I mean, no. I mean, I kind of have sort of had confidence. I just thought that we had a lot of higher blocks to fill with the mixture of the money situation and our needs.
Right.
But as far as Levante David, they need to do whatever they got to do to get this man back. And I'll tell you why, because you need the heart and soul. I mean, you need a guy who's been here and who wants to retire here and is going to bring that quintessential, passion and be the anchor to that defense. So you certainly got to try to do whatever you can do to hold on to Levante. I think moreover White even. I mean, I would hate to see him go, but yeah, I mean, you gotta have that passion, that experience, that man that has been a Buck his whole career. I mean, why interrupt that right now? And I mean, I'll let Jay.
Yeah, I mean, Jason, go ahead and comment
yeah.
about it. There's a lot of fans that are kind of concerned right now about losing Levante David. And of course, it came out the other day that he's going to test the market as we thought he was going to. But I think eventually the Bucs will get this done. Where do you stand on it?
Again, the Bucs still have more work to do. You know, obviously signing Jamel Dean, they don't have the salary cap space anymore today. They're going to have to do some more stuff in order to fit Levante. And I think if Levante wants to stay here, he's got to be he has to be willing to take a little less. I mean, if he's trying to get every penny he can get, then he's not going to be a Buccaneer. But if he wants to retire a Buccaneer, it sounds like he does, based on his talks about his relationship with Derek Brooks and such. He's got to be. I mean, I think the Bucs have a number for him. Probably, I would guess probably $7 million would be my guess.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're the Bucs, you can't overpay to keep Levante David, especially if you think this year is going to be a 500 kind of year. I mean, again, I don't think anybody expects the Bucs to go 12-5 this year, currently constructed. So again, you can't overpay for Levante David and put yourself in more salary cap hell next year, because Wirfs, Winfield, potentially Devin White got to be paid next year.
Good point. All right. What else, Ron?
Yeah, so I just wanted to throw out some prospects out there, see what you guys think. So current situation, what are our needs? Okay, so you got, there's definitely, because you want to, I mean, if you're talking Mayfield, which right now there's nothing official, obviously, and even if you're talking Trask, so he's really the only quarterback on the roster right now, if I'm not mistaken. So
Correct.
You need to keep the offensive line. Yeah, you need to keep the offensive line intact, and you need to build on that. So I'm looking at guys like maybe in free agency right now. I don't know. Maybe they've already had deals locked in. We don't know, because we don't know what agents and different teams are doing right now on the inner source. But Dalton Risner, so Broncos offensive line, he had a 65.7 pass blocking grade on pass that ranked 22nd among guards. He could be a possibility.
I don't see it. I don't see it, and I'm going to tell you why I don't see it. I think they got in-house options. I'm going to give this man credit right here, Jason Powers, because we've been on the podcast together, and he said it at first. When they get rid of Donovan Smith, they're going to go with Tristan Wirfs at the left tackle, and that's probably exactly what they're going to do. Furthermore, if they cut Shaq Mason or they trade him, they're probably going to move Hainsey in there.
Leverett, you got Leverett, Hainsey, and Stinney potentially.
Right.
Two of those guys. Three of those guys for two spots.
And then get a key at right tackle, because he played right tackle in college. Yep. I could definitely see that's where they're going to go, and they could actually pass up on drafting anybody and in free agency going what they have. And that would, to me, be a Jason-like type of deal where they feel like, you know what, we're going to shift these guys around. Maybe you get somebody as a swing tackle in free agency, but it's not going to be a big deal. It's not going to be a big name, just somebody to have a backup, because they seem like they're pretty satisfied with what they have. And I kind of agree with them, because I think Donovan Smith was probably the biggest, the biggest Achilles heel for this offensive line. Furthermore, Ryan Jensen being out injured, that didn't help out. Now he's back. And I think those guys that, had a rough time last year, namely a Gedeke, not playing left guard, but playing his natural position. I think that's where they're banking on at the end of the day. What do you say?
And remember, I think your swing tackle very well could be Brandon Walton, who played a little bit last year at left tackle for Donovan. Did okay, but again, he probably can be your swing tackle. Inexpensive. Again, you don't have salary cap room to go bring in a free agent offensive tackle. I mean, these free agent offensive tackles cost money, and we don't have a ton of excess money to be spending especially if you have an internal option, a guy like Brandon Walton.
Yeah, I mean, it's.
What do you think about? So what do you think? What do you think is the most glaring needs, Jason? Do you think it's too many? It's a multitude at this time.
No, I think to me the key thing is can Luke Gedeke play right tackle? If he can play right tackle at a sustainable level, Wirfs will be okay at left tackle. I think the interior will be fine with combination of Jensen, Leverett, and Hainsey and or Stinney. Some combination of those guys. I think they'll be okay there. I think Luke Gedeke is second-round draft pick. You've invested a lot of money in him. We got to see if he can play right tackle. If he can, I think you can stabilize things on that. To me, the number one key for the Buccaneers, need-wise at this stage today, is defensive line, pass rusher.
Yeah, and I definitely think you're right, and I think it could also be safety. Go ahead, Ron.
And on that note, Jay and Peter and Jay, what do you think about these names? Maybe potential they're in free agency. Dalvin Tomlinson, Shelby Harris, Rankins. You think any of those guys might fit okay?
I mean, again, Shelby Harris, who just got cut today by the Seahawks. Wow. I mean, he's a serviceable guy. Again, is he an impact player? I don't think so. Or I don't think Seattle would have cut him. But invariably, there'll be somebody that'll be available. Again, I think you can draft. That's a position you typically can find somebody. Again, a guy like Nunez Roches, we found him. He was kind of a no-name guy when he came to Tampa. I think you were able to find defensive tackles to pair up with Vita Vea, maybe in the middle, Golston. I think, but to me, a pass rusher on the end, outside linebacker, defensive end is where if you're the Buccaneers, if you're going to make a move in free agency, that's where you got to try to make a move, whether it's a trade, free agency, and I definitely think you're going to address that in the draft.
All right, Ron. Thanks.
Do you think trying on Shoyinka at this point? Have we seen enough? Pete,
No.
Are you ready? Jason?
No, not yet.
No.
He's got to do it. He's got to do it.
He's got to get it done, and that's the reason why you look at an edge rusher in this draft. Possibly if somebody drops to you, or you look in their later rounds, because JTS hasn't proven himself. That's not to say he can't develop, if you will, into that pass rushing specialist with what you draft him in the first round. Go ahead.
And Shaq Barrett coming off of an Achilles injury. You have no idea where he'll be.
Right, exactly. And you're going to probably lose Nelson, and you're going to probably lose Nassib. One of those guys may be re-signed, but at the end of the day, I feel like that's a need also. So
draft. You have to draft somebody.
Right, and that's why I say they trade down. Good stuff, Ron. Appreciate the call. Use that second call if you want to, Marine, okay?
Hoorah. Thank you, guys.
Hoorah.
Thanks,
all right,
buddy.
Good stuff there. I mean, you go back to it. I think this is a draft where you trade down out of the 19 spot. Is that how you see this working out, Jason?
I think you stay at 19. And if somebody, hopefully one of these defensive ends, pass rusher, whether it's linebacker, I don't think the guy from TCU, they're talking about the Tyrese Wilson. I don't think he'll be there. He's highly coveted. But again, if one of these guys falls to you at 19, you stay at 19. But if the decision is take a marginal player or trade down, you probably do trade down. But again, I think you try to get the best defensive player you can get at 19. Unless one of, and here's another thing, and I know, I'm not a huge fan of Russell Gage. I know they redid his deal, so he's going to be here at least one more year. If one of these speedster wide receivers, the kid from Ohio State potentially, in Jigba, the guy that didn't play, they need some speed. Maybe the kid from Tennessee, Jalen Hyatt, who most people think will be a late first round, early second round pick. A guy like that, we need some speed on the offense at the wide receiver position, and those are two names to be aware of if the Bucs do trade down late in the first round potentially.
All right, we're on with Jason Powers, Powers on Sports podcast. Of course, no quarter given podcast on the BuckPower.com network. I'm your host, Peter Blake, giving you something to think about. Open phone lines, you know the number, 727-255-0391. It's 727-255-0391. Again, 727-409-7528. 727-409-7528. Yes.
Peter, have you guys talked? I'm sure you guys have.
Yes.
I am not a Baker Mayfield fan. Don't do this, Tampa. Don't do it.
Why? And I was asking fans this, and you can comment on this, fans, if you want to. Win or loss total going up or down? Where do you see this? Because I like Baker Mayfield. I think he's got lots of potential, although he's turned over the ball a lot. We know that. A lot of people say Jameis Winston 2.0. He's got an attitude. But I feel like if you can put a running game around him, make your balanced, he's got receivers to throw to. I'm kind of buying, and I think the win total goes up on a Trask. Where do you see the win total going up or down?
First and foremost, you have to see if Kyle Trask can play.
Right. Okay.
And so Baker Mayfield is not going to be a good backup quarterback for Kyle Trask. He's not the best teammate in the world. We've seen that. If you're signing Baker Mayfield, you're telling Kyle Trask, again, you're not signing Baker Mayfield to be the backup, I don't think.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you're going to sign Baker, you think he's going to be the starter. And we know what Baker Mayfield is. I hate to say this. He's been in this league 6 years, 5, 6 years, whatever it's been. We know what he is. He's a turnover machine. And we've said if he has this, he has that, has this. No. If you're going to bring in a guy like that, to me, it's one of 4 names. Minshew,
Mm-hmm.
Teddy Bridgewater would be a guy that I would consider.
Okay.
Brissett or Andy Dalton. Those 4 names, those are good teammates. They will understand their role. They'll be good mentors to Trask, because you need to see this year if Kyle Trask can play. That doesn't mean he has to play the whole year, but we need to see him play, not at garbage time when the Bucs are, 3-9. We need to see him play early in the year when there's something on the line to know if he can play or not.
Well, and I have my doubts about if they're
maybe you do, and maybe he can't play.
Right.
And maybe he can. I don't know.
I mean, I just have doubts that they're committed to Trask, because all these rumors about Mayfield, you bring him in here for competition at the end of the day, because you're not going to just go with Trask. You're going to bring a veteran presence. But a Baker Mayfield seems like, hey, this could possibly be your future guy, because
what has he shown you that he can be the future?
Well, I'm saying from where they're looking at, he was a number 1 overall pick just a couple years ago. I know BA likes him.
Not a couple years ago, 6 years ago.
Was it 2018?
5 or 6 at least.
Right. But still,
at least
number 1 pick. He's got potential. Dave Canales seems like he likes to work with them. He's going to also know that system, so he may have an advantage over any quarterback that's in that room at the end of the day, because he come from Sean McVay's system and he was successful, even though there was really nothing on the line. But you can't take it away from him. Like, he's got potential. He's got arm strength. He's got the stuff that you're looking for. But the problem is, like you said, the turnover stuff. So who knows? We'll see what they're working with and what they're going to do. For me,
a name to keep an eye on.
Yeah.
Not necessarily for the Bucs, but it would not shock me in the next several days if he becomes available and then Baker goes back to Los Angeles. Matthew Stafford.
Would you take that? I mean, could the Bucs?
If the Bucs could get him for $25 million,
oh yeah,
and get the Rams to eat some of that salary, absolutely, I would trade a 3rd-round draft pick, because he's not going to cost an arm and a leg.
Right.
You saw what they did with Jalen Ramsey. That way, the Rams could then keep, if they want to keep Baker, who McVay seemed to like. I think a guy like if the Bucs are in win now mode, which I don't think they are, and I'm not sure you can fit Matthew Stafford's salary in, but a guy that it wouldn't shock me if he got traded to somewhere around the league, Matthew Stafford, in the next several days.
I would buy it, and I'll tell you right now, I buy the other guy too, and I know I've been told I'm crazy, but again, J.C. Cornell was reporting on this tonight, saying on his Twitter today, don't rule out Tampa with Lamar Jackson. I think there's something to it. I still think people say money, and I say Jason Light and company, what they did today with Dean, what they've done in the past to make that work. Jason Powers, 26-year-old quarterbacks don't grow on trees, and when you get the opportunity to go after somebody, and I'm just not sure if the Glazers want to go back to mediocrity. I'm not sure if they want to tank this year from the side.
I don't think they were in tank mode. But I think you're in the mode of, again, it'd be a hell of a move if they did that. I mean, again,
would you buy Lamar Jackson with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers? Tell me, would you buy it?
They're not going to guarantee his contract. If he's looking for 240 or 250 guaranteed, he ain't coming here.
I don't think it's necessarily guaranteed money. Everybody says that, and I say that's what you heard, secondhand. I haven't heard that from him.
Well, he ain't said a word.
Right.
He's not going to say that.
And for me, the problem, and I continue to go back and forth with people on this, well, he's off injured. Okay, he made a decision for himself. He may have been injured. He wasn't going to.
He is off injured.
Right. Well, the last 10 games here in the last 2 years.
Yeah, the last 10 of the year, the most important games at the end.
Well, but again, his knee was messed up. He made a business decision. He wasn't going to risk it for Baltimore not paying him. My problem is that Baltimore's never put the weapons around him, and then furthermore, you're paying a guy like Roquan Smith, who's been there 2 seconds, $100 million. What's that say to your franchise quarterback? That has been my point. Maybe he doesn't want to be in Baltimore. Maybe it's not just all about money. Maybe that's the reason why he doesn't have an agent in the first place, because he wants nothing to do with Baltimore. And I say if the Glazers want to do it, go for it. That's all I'm going to say about that.
But here's, I mean, and I'm with you. If I had to give up 2 number ones for Lamar, I would do it. And if you had to pay him $175 million guaranteed, I would do that. But first of all, him not having an agent is a problem. That is a problem. Everybody has said that.
Mom.
Please, man, bro, please. That's like your dog being your agent, Peter Blake.
Listen, I would rather have my mom be the agent at the end of the day, because if these NFL general managers and owners don't know this guy's damn value by now, at least my mom would know it. And I understand where you're coming from with having an agent and doing this and doing that. But obviously, there's not some trust there with that organization. That's all I'm saying. With that being said, we talked about Levante David. We talked about the draft. I mean, overall free agency. I got to ask you, Aaron Rodgers, is he going to end up with the New York Jets, or is he going to stay with the Green Bay Packers?
All he's doing, he's waiting for tomorrow at 2:00. You know what tomorrow at 2:00 is?
Oh, it's the Pat McAfee show.
Yeah, that's his normal time slot at Pat McAfee. He's going to announce tomorrow at 2:00. By 2:00 at the absolute latest, most likely on the Pat McAfee show, in my opinion, you're going to hear Aaron Rodgers say, We have a deal, and blah blah blah. Us and the Green Bay Packers have agreed to move on, and I'm going to be amicable to go to the New York Jets. Whatever, however he's going to say that in so many words. I think at 2:00 in the 2:00 hour on Pat McAfee, you're going to hear that tomorrow. When players on the Jets, star players, are saying I can go on vacation now, that means it's done.
Yeah,
I wouldn't be saying that. Somebody has told them, who knows, it's done. It's just a matter of when it gets announced in the next 24 hours or 48 hours, whatever it is. Pat McAfee, 2:00 tomorrow.
All right, 2:00 tomorrow. Does that make the Jets a championship team, in your opinion, in that division?
A contender, sure.
Okay.
When you get in the playoffs, once you're in the playoffs, it's a crapshoot. You never know who can. I mean, sure, they should be a playoff team if he's the quarterback.
All right, Jimmy G to the Raiders. What do you think about that move? Good move for them.
Cheaper version of Derek Carr.
Wow.
I mean, it's just saying half dozen of one or half dozen of the other. They're basically the same guy. They got Jimmy G a little cheaper. Again, I told you I thought the Bucs should have gone after Mike White, who signed with Miami today. I thought he would have been the perfect guy to compete with Trask. Young, showed some potential, got him pretty cheap in Miami. That would have been the guy I told you that a month ago. That was the guy that I thought they should have gone after. And you saw Miami made a nice move there and getting White as the insurance policy.
Agreed.
No Tom Brady, by the way.
Yeah, no Tom Brady at all, with all the rumors circulating. All right, buddy, I got to get you out of here on this. You and Uncle TJ Reeves did some college basketball calling. Did a great job. I listened to her. You're an analyst, you're color commentating, painting the picture. It's so much tougher when you're doing it on radio, because you got to paint the picture.
Yeah.
Talk about that experience a little bit and how fun that was with Uncle TJ Reeves.
It was great. We did the Big South tournament final. UNC Asheville, who will be playing UCLA in the tournament this week. They were playing the Campbell Camels in the Big South final in Charlotte. Yeah. TJ and I did the game on TuneIn, the online platform. Great experience. TJ's a fantastic bus driver and leads the way. I was just there to fill in some of the gaps and give a little analysis, and hopefully you thought we did a pretty good job. It was a great game. Ended up being down to the wire. UNC Asheville survives, and it comes back from 14 down in the last 7 minutes, and you'll get to see them this week. I don't know if they play. Can't remember if they play Thursday or Friday, but they play UCLA out in Sacramento, California. And yeah, I had a great time doing it. Hope I get some more opportunity to do it.
Absolutely, my friend. Always opportunity here on the Evolution. Go ahead and promote yourself here on the Sports Web Live on I Love St. Pete, Amped Up Sports, and the Hub.
Yep, Powers on Sports podcast on all your favorite podcast platform. Peter and I are going to be doing here a free agency edition of the No Quarter Given podcast, which is all Buck related here in a little bit. We'll be releasing that. If you listen to our previous podcast about a month ago, we told you Donovan Smith gone. We told you Tristan Wirfs going to left tackle.
Yep.
We told you Luke Gedeke going to right tackle.
Yep.
We told you Fournette probably gone.
Yep.
Cam Brate probably gone. And Suckup, who I think will be gone eventually to get up some more cap space. We told you those things. So check us out. We'll give you some bold predictions as we go into free agency. Now that we have Jamel Dean back in the fold, we'll give you some thoughts on Levante and some other things. And just an all Bucs podcast. So check it out. No Quarter Given. Me and you, man.
Absolutely. I'm ready for it, my friend. And we'll see you soon here on the Evolution of Sports Talk Television. I'll see you tonight after the show. All right.
You got it, buddy.
All right. Good stuff there. Jason Powers on Sports Podcast. Now it's just you and me. Now you can call the phone lines if you want to, because some of you guys don't necessarily call because you want to hear the guests talk and analyze this and analyze that. I want to read these comments as we always do here on the Evolution. Bears now own the NFC North. We shall see. Thank you, Ryan Poles. Roger again. Here you got to agree with me. Okay, Roger, hit the like button. Appreciate that. What's going on, Sitting? How you doing? Welcome to the Evolution.
Oh, yeah.
Let's go out to Misador, Jamel, effing Dean. I think that's everybody's comment today.
Yeah.
As the Bucs get that contract signed, 4 years, $52 million. As we came in and talked about it, right? $17, $18 million market value gets 13. Not bad. Ben says, what's up, Peter? Like Dean signing up in the air about pursuing Baker. And that's the question for the night. If Baker Mayfield is the Tampa Bay Buccaneer starting quarterback in 2023, do the wins go up or do they go down? 727-255-0391. It's 727-255-0391. Again, the other number, 727-409-7528. Again, 727-409-7528. Because I've heard it across the board. And I know there's a lot of Kyle Trask fans out there. Trask Force running wild there in the hub with Chris coming up with that nickname. I get that. And people want to say, give him a chance. See Kyle Trask. What can he do? Okay, let's see what he can do. But if you get Baker Mayfield, does that hinder the development, if you will, of Mr. Trask? Do you feel good? Do you feel better about Baker Mayfield starting, or do you think it's a disaster? Open phone line if you want to talk about it. Okay, Ben, what's going on? Christopher, how you doing? Mike says, hello, commenting to you from beautiful Rainbow River, 4 days of kayaking and swimming. We'll get it. Very cool. Ben says, I like the Gage restructure his deal. They absolutely did that. Moved it from 10 to 7. They saved money on that deal. Had 5 touchdowns last year, but was off injured. So now you have 3 of your wide receivers in place. Evans, Godwin, Gage. Godwin will be coming off of that injury his second year, so he should be a lot better than he was last year. Oh, by the way, he had over 1,000 yards receiving and over 100 catches. So how much better can he get? Much better. Gage, hopefully, knock on wood, is healthy. What do the Bucs do after that? At the end of the day, we'll see what they do because they're definitely going to move on from Scotty Miller. Devin Tompkins, I think, is in that conversation as being a 4th or 5th wide receiver, and they may go with somebody else in the draft. All right, let's see. Talk about Poles and Bears. Bay. I mean, we talked about it. You talked about it. They won the first day of free agency. Besides them, San Francisco 49ers with Hargrove as a defensive tackle. You add him with Kinlaw to that defensive line and Bosa. Oh, my goodness. John Lynch has knocked it out of the park. And kind of a shocker because it was talked about Baker Mayfield going to possibly San Francisco. No, it's Sam Darnold. So good for the San Francisco 49ers.
Flawless victory.
Again, though, you don't win championships in free agency. Can it start? Can it translate to the field? Absolutely. Did Ryan Poles and the Chicago Bears do a great job? Of course. They have the most money. They done a great job. Did they overpay for some linebackers? I don't know. I think that's what they want their defense to be. Do they have to build the defensive line up? Yes. Do they have to get more edge rushers? Yes. Do they still, in my opinion, have to go out and get an Orlando Brown Jr. for this to be a grand slam? Absolutely. Yes. Protect your quarterback. Protect your franchise, which is what I keep on going back to the Baltimore Ravens. And they do that enough with Lamar Jackson. People want to say, well, he got injured. Well, what did the Baltimore Ravens do to help his situation out? Oh, well, they didn't do much of anything. Sorry. Dave says, I think Levante gets signed back now with the Dean deal. I like where you're coming from there.
Oh, yeah.
Let's go out to Mike. I'll take a collective sigh of relief when we ink a deal with Levante David. I think that's what is on everybody's mind. Right? And I just say, have faith in this organization that they know what they're doing, that they know that they're not going to overpay, that they understand how much leadership and how much value David has to this defense. You can see how much better Devin White plays when Levante David is on the field. He's an all-time great. Nobody wants to see him go to the Miami Dolphins. Nobody. Nobody wants to see him go to the Buffalo Bills. Nobody. I mean, it's great for David to get the money and possibly win a championship, but who wants to see that? I always go back to, did you like seeing Warren Sapp in a Raider uniform? No. Did you like seeing John Lynch in a Denver Bronco uniform? No. So hopefully you don't have that happen again. A lot of people say Gerald McCoy in a Panther uniform. I mean, did he really even play? He played a little bit. Who wanted to see that? Nobody wants to see that. So good stuff there, Mike. Appreciate the comment as always.
Yeah.
Let me go out to Misador. Harry, the Bears are building you a sound linebacking core. If only they could sign a left tackle, and Donovan Smith is out there. I don't necessarily think that's going to happen. I think they go for Orlando Brown Jr. Unless you want somebody that, again, he struggled last year. He's had his problems. He's inconsistent. Will he come cheaper than Orlando Brown Jr.? Yeah, but why even take the chance with the third-year quarterback? I'm not doing that. Adam says Trey Edmonds to Chicago. Absolutely. Tulio says Dean turned down more money elsewhere to stay in Tampa. What does that tell you, ladies and gentlemen? Maybe what Leonard Fournette was saying out there, that he asked for his release because it was a rebuild. Maybe it's not necessarily a rebuild. How about that? Maybe the Bucs are going for it. I'm not saying being a Super Bowl contender, but maybe they feel like they can win the NFC South. That's the reason why they're making these signings. Maybe. Just saying. Have faith. Jarvis says, what about LBD? And I would like us to draft Branch from Bama. Would be great paired up with Winfield. That's certainly a need at this juncture, right? Because all you have is Winfield and what? What else do you got? Not much. Logan Ryan's a free agent. Keanu O'Neal is a free agent. Yeah. I mean, you might as well have Keanu Reeves back there. What would you do? What would you do if you don't have a safety? They're going to find a safety. So, yeah, Branch definitely may be a possibility because he can play the slot. He can let Winfield play his normal position, and you can go from there. Let's go out. So good comment there, Jarvis. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Dave says safety, OL, pass rusher, and now draft targets of the Bucs after signing Dean. Absolutely, because now you don't force yourself or put yourself in a corner where you necessarily have to draft for need. Now you got your corner, you got your two corners set up. Could you go for a corner if there's somebody on the board? Absolutely, we've seen it. Best player on the board, I think you go with safety from Alabama. That certainly makes sense. Maybe you go all out. I still think you go with Gedeke at right tackle, but they may have other plans. They may go with the guard because they're getting rid of Mason. I think there's more in-house options. I think the key needs that you're looking at right now are safety, defensive tackle, and pass rush, edge. Because you don't know what you have in JTS, and you're still trying to find that, and you invested a first-round pick, but also you have Shaq Barrett coming off an injury. So that's where you may go at the end of the day. And I think that's a wise move to do. Dean is a damn good field corner. Absolutely he is.
Oh, yeah.
Let's go out to Corey again. Any play his third on the field and cover 3. TJ says, when are we going to see you on Pewter Pod again? I don't know. Whenever you want me on the Pewter Pod again, let me know. I'm always open to appearances. Let me know. Inbox me. Like and follow the Sports Web on YouTube. Like and follow I Love St. Pete, Amped Up Sports, and the Hub. I'm here. Hall has to step up this year on DL. He was a ghost. D-line, I should say. Was a ghost his rookie year. 2 sacks, yes. But you never heard his name. I forgot we even drafted him. And that was a big disappointment, right? And that's a rookie coming in and not necessarily having his body ready. We heard from JC how he said this guy needs to get his body ready. He needs to get bigger. He needs to get faster, but needs to get more strong at the point of attack. This is going to be your future defensive tackle / defensive end. He's got to get stronger. And I think that's what Jason Light and company have been talking about. Safety is a huge need. Absolutely me. Appreciate you.
Yeah.
Let's go on to TJ Misador. Think the Bucs could bring Ryan back and use him as a vet depth piece to not strain themselves when it comes to the draft. Absolutely. Could sign a Logan Ryan. That's certainly possible at the end of the day because he's not going to cost you an arm and a leg. And I know we keep on talking about money, and I hate talking about money because it's not my money. I don't know anything about it. I'm not a capologist. I never came on this program and said, I know everything about the salary cap. I know how restructures work. I know how cuts work. I don't. I know a little bit. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that the Bucs can't make this happen because they can. It's not doom and gloom here in Holiday, Florida on the Sports Web. I was never thinking that there was going to be a mass exodus of players. And even if there was a mass exodus of players, is that such a bad thing when you have a team that won 8 games? I mean, this is what I've been talking about over and over again. People losing their mind about losing players that are basically depth pieces at this point. You know, nobody's losing sleep over Julio Jones. Nobody's losing sleep over Keanu Neal. I mean, yeah, it'd be a good depth piece. Is he going to be a starter? Logan Ryan, maybe a vet. I mean, these are the type of players you're losing. These are not all-star players. Now, Dean, okay, that's different. They got him signed. David, yeah, that's different. William Golston, that's different. Everybody else? Have at it. 727-255-0391. It's 727-255-0391. 0391. The other number, 727-409-7528. Again, 727-409-7528. So good comment. As always, the Bills have reached out to LVD. Just free $32 million of cap space. No, God, please, no. I mean, that's a situation that you would think that Levante David would be interested in. But we heard from JC before. We heard about the tax structure. Traveling from Florida to Buffalo, New York. I get it. They're in that championship window at this juncture, right? They think they can win a Super Bowl with Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs. And they've fallen short. Maybe they feel like Levante David is that final piece, if you will. Much like what they thought about Von Miller when they signed him to an over $100 million contract last year and he got hurt. Maybe Levante David is that final piece. Maybe you're willing to overpay for that. Maybe they do overpay for that. Will the Bucs overpay? I don't think they overpay. That's the danger in letting somebody out there test the market. But at the end of the day, you know, those were the risks of going into free agency with having some cap trouble. That was it. So we'll definitely see how it works out here in the next couple of days. Shaq Mason, what do you think of the trade cut talk? I mean, they're going to go with their in-house options, I think. And they believe that they want to get bigger and they want to get, they have those guys or they may want to draft those guys. And they feel like maybe Shaq Mason is just a guy. Right after 1 year, they're ready to move on from that money to save it. So I get it. I definitely understand where they're coming from on that. So if they can get something for them, you can cut that cap off. You have the in-house options, and you also have the option of going out there and drafting a guard. Bring Logan Ryan back for depth. Christopher Cole says Winston going back to the Saints. Good, says Dave. Me. Have they given up on Mike Edwards? It's a great question. I mean, what's the market for him? He's very inconsistent. Did you see his play last year? I mean, could they go after him? He got an opportunity to start, really didn't fare that well. Communication breakdowns. You watch the Dallas game, looked rough. He didn't look good. The whole secondary looked lost in the sauce. A lot of people assume when Dean didn't play in that game that he was gone. Thank God he's not. I think Sean Murphy-Bunting could be gone because there could be a market out there. There's several teams out there that are interested. They should be. He's got lots of potential, but he's inconsistent. The same could be said about Edwards. Very inconsistent, right? Has never been able to fulfill that potential. So is there an opportunity for them to move on from him? Absolutely, yes. Price. Yeah, I think it comes down to price. I think it also comes down to maybe they feel like they can upgrade in the draft from an Edwards. I would rather have Robinson than Branch only because I would love to trade back. I certainly think it's possible more than anything else, and I continue to preach this, that because the Bucs have so many needs at this juncture, which could change in free agency, but they do have those needs. They need bodies, especially on the defensive line. I could definitely see them trading back. And you say, well, it takes two to tango. You're absolutely correct. If there is a quarterback on the board, say a Hendon Hooker, say another quarterback that a team covets, and they get hungry for it, then that's when you call that other team and say, hey, the quarterback's on the board that you want, trade down, give me a first-round pick or give me a pick this year, and you make it happen. That's certainly possible at the end of the day. So good stuff, me, as always, bringing it. Let's go back out to the comments here. Misador, TJ Fuller, Edwards, damn, autocorrect. It's okay. TJ again, love Branch. I just don't see him getting past JC's Patriots. Certainly possible, I guess. Mason will be cut. Nobody's taking that trade when you can be signed after release. And if they already know that there is no leverage, that the Bucs are ready to move on, there's no leverage at the point. You know, it goes back to Deshaun Jackson when people were saying, well, he's going to be cut. He doesn't fit. Okay, so then why would you take a trade? You can't trade him for anything. Just let him be cut. Teams out there are smart enough to understand that. Same thing with Derek Carr, as we talked about this year, right? Going back to Derek Carr. Is he going to be traded? No. Why is he going to be traded? Well, teams out there know that the Raiders have to cut him in a certain amount of time, or it's a cap hit of $40 million. Oh, okay. So well, then we'll wait it out. We'll play chicken with the Raiders. Sure enough, Kentucky Fried Chicken, the Raiders cut him. And then the Saints sign him. So there you go. Misador, nah, I know who you meant. I meant his price tag. He's going to try and bank as a safety. Can we pay that now? No, he's not going to. I don't think he has any market to bank at this point. He's going to try to bank. Somebody's going to overpay for him. Have it. Let him have it. They might take it for a contract. Lesser guards are getting more money right now. Brent says, then what do we do a guard now that we got to replace two on the O-line and re-sign them? Again, the in-house options there. You have Nick Leverett, who they signed. Could be your left guard. You have the right guard, Hainsey. Could definitely go with him. And then you could go with the Brandon Walton as a swing tackle. I mean, you can go in those directions at the end of the day. And then you got Aaron Stinney coming back from injury. So he would definitely be in that equation. And again, don't rule it out that the Bucs may not take somebody at 19. Maybe they take somebody in the second or the third round. And we'll look at some of those prospects of the offensive line. We'll get more in depth with that. But I'm just saying, don't be surprised that Jason Light does that. There's one thing Jason Light loves to do: take offensive tackles in the mid rounds and also take a cornerback in the mid rounds. He's done that before, and most likely he'll do it again. Well, JC, aren't they going to go smaller a lot more? TJ says a lot more outside zone. TJ again, I think this makes Stinney really valuable. Lots of pulling guards with the outside zone scheme. And before he got hurt last year, you had to feel good that more than likely he was going to be your starting left guard, right? Because we saw what he did in the Super Bowl year, replacing Alex Kappa when he went out with an injury. This offense didn't miss a beat. So I feel good about Stinney coming back. Now, how effective will he be coming off that injury? That'll be the next question. Mason doesn't fit the mold for a run-heavy offense. Exactly. They're going to go with a run-heavy offense. They're going to go with more balance, which is going to be good for whatever quarterback it is. Whether it's Kyle Trask, whether it's Baker Mayfield, whether it's Jacoby Brissett, whether it's Lamar Jackson. I'm just saying. Throwing it out there. I know. I'm pissing people off as we go. That's why I'm hearing crickets right now. 727-255-0391. It's 727-255-0391. Again, the other number, 727-409-7528. Again, 727-409-7528. Trade for Davis Mills. Okay, Dave, we know how you feel. You're on the Harry train there for getting Davis Mills. Wasn't he one of the best graded run blockers in all the NFL, according to PFF this year before he came to Tampa? Exactly. Baker is a high ceiling, but much lower floor than Brissett. JB seems like a much better fit for a defensive offense. I know where you mean by that because he's not going to be a gunslinger. He's not going to turn over the ball. He's going to be more conservative with it. He has some mobility. He's not going to put you in a situation where he loses you a game. Baker Mayfield, on the other hand, the upside is there. He can make all the throws, but he can also make the other throws to the other team. We've seen that before with Jameis Winston, right? No thanks. We already drafted a giraffe before. I think you're talking about Mike Glennon. TJ Fuller, he was, however, that was a pass-first offense. TJ again, Misador, an outside zone run scheme, which is what we see here. Eric says, hello, what's going on?
Oh, yeah.
Tulio says, well, even with Watson's ridiculous contract, the Browns were able to structure his deal to make it manageable. Can I say this again? Because people out there said, well, if you got guaranteed money, there's no way that you can restructure the deal. Wrong. $36 million, 36 million reasons why you can do that. Let me keep on reading this comment. Well, even with Watson's ridiculous contract, the Browns were able to restructure his deal to make it manageable. If you think of the Bucs, the next 2 first-round picks the next 2 years would have probably been a cornerback and a quarterback. Well, with Dean signed and getting Lamar, then it would pretty much cover that. Thank you. Let the truth set you free. Because I have talked about this over and over again. If you trade away the 19th pick for a franchise quarterback that's going to be here the next 10 to 15 years, what are we talking about? Look at what the Carolina Panthers gave, or look at what the Chicago Bears got from the Carolina Panthers for an unproven quarterback who has never started it down in the National Football League. You're not willing to give up 2 first-round picks, which, by the way, if you have confidence in Jackson that he's going to take you to the promised land or at least get you to the playoffs, guess what? That's not a top 10 pick. Hell, it's not even a top 15 pick. It may be a 25th pick. So let me get this straight. 19 and 25 for a franchise quarterback, which you have never had. I'm completely and totally shocked at some of the Bucs fans that I talk to on Facebook. Love you all, but you guys give me more gray hair than I need. I mean, and this is from being a Bucs fan for so many years. I mean, yes, it's wisdom, but it's also from being a Bucs fan and covering this team. And for somebody to tell me, well, we rather go with somebody who has 9 passes. Oh, we want to give him a chance. Or we want to go with Baker Mayfield or Jacoby Brissett instead of a franchise quarterback that is going to be here in his prime. What are you talking about? Money shmoney. Make it happen. I hope the Glazers are listening. I hope they are. This is the right move. If you can make it happen, make it happen. It's the right move. You know it. I know it. And a lot of the Bucs fans out there know it. You can call my show right now and you can convince me besides money and besides injury not to do it. Feel free. 727-255-0391. It's 727-255-0391. Again, 727-409-7528. Again, 727-409-7528. I'm at a job, okay, and somebody pays somebody else who's been there for 2 seconds $100 million, and then they come back to me and say, oh, you know what? I don't think you're worth the money. Whoa, 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 whoa. How many years have I been with this company? How much blood, sweat, and tears have I given to this organization? I'm supposed to be your franchise quarterback. We talk about it all the time. Franchise quarterbacks. People say don't use relationships. I say use the relationships. You know why? You want to get a woman that's interested in you? You say, I want you to be my franchise quarterback. Why? I'm going to build around you. So let me get this straight. You told your franchise quarterback, who you're supposed to be building around and helping out, you're supposed to be in some type of marriage, organization, general manager, owner with the franchise quarterback, that they're not good enough. But a guy who hasn't put in the work or the time is worth as much or more than the supposed franchise quarterback. Just thinking about that pisses me off. Do you think there's a reason why he doesn't want to sign with the Baltimore Ravens? Could it be guaranteed money? Yeah, I guess it could. He deserves it. We went through that. He should get more than Deshaun Watson. With all the allegations off the field, you want to talk about injuries? And the owner's saying, oh, well, we're not going to pay guaranteed money. Oh, really? I bet this doesn't come up when Joe Burrow looks for a contract extension. I bet it doesn't come up when Justin Herbert comes up for an extension. I damn well bet it doesn't come up for Patrick Mahomes when he wants an extension. This is the way, the trend, the National Football League is going. As much as I come on this show and say you can't pay a quarterback that much money, this is the market. This is inflation. This is capitalism at its best. Guys are going to get paid. When Daniel Jones is getting paid $40 million, there needs to be an investigation when you have to come on this program and tell me Lamar Jackson doesn't deserve more. You're a moron.
This guy sucks.
727-255-0391. It's 727-255-0391. Now I got that off my chest. How would you feel about it? You know, I did a social media survey on Facebook asking everybody, what would you do? What would you do if you were Jameis Winston? And then what would you do at your job? And the responses were so shocking. When you go and you say, well, don't say anything personal about somebody. Of course they do. You know, that's why it comes up. Don't bring any nonsense. Everybody does. You know, that's a trick. So they say something personal and say, well, and then what you come to find out is when they're put into that situation, they kind of change their mindset a little bit. You know why? Because we all been there. We've all been disrespected by our job. So I cannot believe that Jameis Winston is going to be the backup quarterback for Derek Carr. Shocking to me. He's no Glenn, and you haven't watched him play, I guess, because the guy can be good with receivers. Love you, Peter H. Blake, but it's not happened. They won't let him leave. We'll see. But I appreciate it, TJ. Thanks a lot for tuning in.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that's what I got to do. You know, I come on here, and if I'm a drone, like some of these shows out there, well, they can't do anything because they got all these cap problems, and it's just not going to happen because the Bucs can't figure it out because they figured out the last 5 years. I mean, anybody that comes on this program and says to me, this organization doesn't have a plan, what are you smoking? 3 years removed from a Super Bowl, 3 playoff appearances, 2 division titles, and a partridge in a pear tree. I mean, what more can this organization do to prove to you that they want to win? What can the Glazers do? What can Jason Light do? What can Mike Greenberg do? What can Davidson do? What can they do over there to prove to you they want to win? I don't get it. Like, I mean, you think this team is going back into the dark ages? You think the Glazers are going to do that? I mean, that doesn't work. That probably is 1 year and then you're done with that. That's not making anybody money. I mean, we've seen the fan base here. I mean, do you honestly think they could go through a tank job and they're going to draw fans? You think fans are going to show up for that? I mean, opposing fans are going to show up for that. I mean, you know my story. I've been through the losing times, the worst times, the ugly times. I don't see that happening again. I don't. Bama players don't do well in Tampa. Mark Barron comes to mind. 2012. Remember that? Being at the draft party for that. Rick Schiano. Absolutely. Let's see. Go Bucs. Welcome back to Tampa. Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
Christopher Cole says Bears and Broncos are spending money. They are. Mike McGlinchey, another free agent they got there to help their line out. Russell Wilson, so he could cook this year, hopefully, with Sean Payton. We'll see how that works out. Good stuff, Christopher. Thank you. Happy to be back stateside. Absolutely. Welcome back. Peter, Harry, and JC, we read that comment. That's Taylor Allen right there. Can't the Ravens just accept the contract that Lamar presents to them? No, I guess they can't. I guess they don't, because if they wanted to do that, they wouldn't go through this rigmarole of having, a non-exclusive tag. Just pay the man. Pay the man what he's worth. Pay the man what he's worth. It's like people out there trying to convince me. Like, if I know there's a salesperson that is getting on the phone and making more money than me, and I'm producing better than him, I want to make more than that person. That is normal. You think I'm going to my boss and saying, you know what? You're such a great company. I mean, maybe I'll take a hometown discount, but you're paying this other guy more than me, and I've been here longer? How does that work out, guys? Come on. Corey says, and he's from Florida. Absolutely. TJ says, maybe I'm wrong. KR says, evening, guys. What's going on, KR? Welcome to the evolution.
Oh, yeah.
Olga says, okay, guys, I have a question. Opinion of Levante David. I hope we can keep him. Can't see him leaving the Bucs, but money opportunity speaks. Thoughts? I still think, because I'm an eternal optimist, so take this for what it's worth, because Olga, you know who I am, and I've met you before. I think the Bucs will get it worked out with Levante David. Now, to sit here and act like I'm naive and say that he doesn't have value to a team like the Buffalo Bills or a championship team that's trying to win would be ridiculous. So there's always that risk of losing him, but I do think the Bucs will get it done eventually. I do have faith. TJ says, Corey Hall, Miami kid, absolutely. David says, I just seen that the Saints are re-signing Jameis Winston to a one-year deal worth $8 million. Thank you, Cannon and Haley. Once again, Bills want him. They just cleared $32 million, hoping he stays. We shall see how that works out. Wow, didn't think Winston would give up being a starter. Yeah, I asked people out there for their idea. Would you give it up? Would you give up being in the number one, or would you go somewhere else? I know what I would do. I wouldn't stay there. They basically just disrespected me. They just said, you know what? Derek Carr's better quarterback. We're going to pay him more money. Guess what? Either take the restructure or you're done. Okay, bye. See ya. I'll go take my talents and services somewhere else. Jameis, stay with the organization. Hats off to him. That was a better situation for him. I know people in their job, they wouldn't do it. 9 times out of 10, 10 times out of 10, they're not staying. Reagan says, great opportunity to market your business right here. Yes, you can market your business right here. We can play commercials. We can promote your business. We can get you on video. This is the evolution of sports talk television, and I get it. People are so on the fact of, well, you're not with the radio station, you're not with the TV station. It's the best of both worlds. I can do both of those things. Probably could do more. And we're getting the reach. We're over 215,000 in reach. Did you hear me? 215,000 in reach on my personal page alone. Doesn't include I Love St. Pete, which has 115,000. Doesn't include the hub, which is another 31,000. It's there. The engagement is there. The interaction is there. The opportunity is there for you to have a sponsorship, have some type of sponsorships package with the sports web, and we can make it happen. We can definitely make it happen. Thank you, Reagan. Appreciate you as always.
Oh, yeah.
Definitely sponsor you here and get your business out there and talk about your business, and also talk about some Bucs football and talk around the NFL like we always do here. The opportunities are endless. There is no limits. I mean that. There is no limit. I can do a show in a phone booth. I can go down the street, and if you need me to do a show in the outhouse, give me great Wi-Fi, and I'll make it happen. I guarantee you, if you give me the opportunity, I'll make it happen. That's the beauty in the sports web. It travels too. It's on the road. All right. Olga, Nevin, thank you. We are so happy to be here. Me, Sador, LVD's agent and brass, rumored to meet Wednesday. I know where you got that rumor, so good stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Olga says TJ Fuller, either he restructures his contract or he will be, I don't know where. Christopher Cole, Pinion got paid. That he did. Love to hear it, my man, Misador. Music to my ears.
Yeah.
Olga says, hope we can keep Levante. Absolutely. TJ says, trading is a waste of resources. Corey says, Jacoby Brissett is better than Baker Mayfield. Okay. Yep, he does. Misador. Is Hooker there in the third? The Bucs better jump all over him. I don't think he's there in the first. I think if he's there in the first round with the teams lining up, even though he's coming off an injury, I think there's teams out there that are quarterback starved. I do. I think there are teams out there that are willing to do it. I do. Maybe he makes it to the second. Maybe I'm wrong about it. I get it. He's coming off an injury. Rumor is he's going to be ready for training camp. David meeting with Buffalo. Signed David to a 1-year deal. I think he has only 2 years left in him. I agree with you on that. Good comment.
Oh, yeah.
Me, Sador, my dumb fan brain wants Levis to fall to past 10 and then try and make a move from Kentucky, the quarterback there. You were talking about. JC makes me wish I was deaf. He talks a lot, bro, and you don't say anything at all.
This guy sucks.
Nothing at all. Corey Hall, 1 or 2 year deals are tough on the cap, though. Me, Sador. TJ Fuller, not sure how I feel about that. Edward, if David doesn't return, could we land Wagner? Wagner is talking to the Dallas Cowboys, so I don't know. I don't know if that's the direction they want to go. Levis drops past 10. I want the Bucs to go for it. I don't see them drafting a quarterback this year. Olga, oh, please stay Levante. TJ, Misador, love his arm and confidence in UK was straight garbage. That's overpaying for White. He's good, but he misses a lot of tackles. Really needs defensive player of the year type season this year to get the money. And that would be Devin White, as we talked about when he was coming into the league from LSU. The goal was to make $100 million. Has that gone away? I don't think so. The young man wants to cash in, but he's got to play better. We talked about it. Got to get more consistent, take better angles on tackles, get better in coverage. Is he a defensive leader for this team? Absolutely. I definitely think he is. So if it's on him, he's got to perform up to snuff. He does. And then he'll be able to earn that money. Hello to the room. What's going on, Brandon?
Oh, yeah.
Let's go out to Christopher. Extend Evans, please. We'll see if that happens. TJ Fuller, it's not my ears. I heard that from Blake Anthony and NSPN. Thank you, me. I appreciate that.
Flawless victory.
Let's go out to Olga. Thank you all, guys, for always a great show. Love the wrestling comments. Absolutely.
How about them Bucs, baby?
That's what we talk about. Surprised Jameis Winston went back to the Saints for $8 million as a backup. I am surprised. Me, yes, he is spot on. Misador, go Bucs. Good stuff. Corey laughing. Troy, God, just hang up already. God, would you just stop trolling?
Shut up!
Christopher O'Reilly, if LVD stays in Tampa, Buffalo lands Bobby Wagner. That's certainly a possibility, I guess. Although, again, he is talking to the Dallas Cowboys. No deal is imminent. Wagner and Von Miller. Scary, right? Oh, not in Tampa Bay. Jameis, 30 for 30, man. Troy says, can you talk about World Baseball Classic? Greece didn't even make it to the tournament. What about? Call into the phone line if you want to talk about it. Dean got benched because he was injured, couldn't keep up, in my opinion. Olga says, yes, Hicks, I can see it. Rick says, Calais Campbell was just released. We need to make a call. Up there a little bit in years. Always wanted Calais Campbell, wanted him a couple years ago. We'll see what's going on. Cornell, how you doing?
Oh, yeah.
Welcome back to the Evolution. I know you missed us. We're here. Thanks, Harry the Greek. Absolutely, Olga. Thank you. Best show ever. Glad I can tune in again. Welcome back, my friend. Absolutely. Olga's laughing. Toxic Falcons. Yo. Okay. Thank you, Toxic Falcons. Why are you concerned about losing Levante David? Dude has been a ghost since the Super Bowl. Sue and JPP were the real leaders. And once again,
That's good enough to suck right there.
Dave says, agree with Jason on Mayfield 100%. Dave again. Sam Darnold beat out Mayfield in Carolina. Enough said. Cornell, So we're not going to give Trask a shot and save money and tank. Do you want to tank, Cornell? Do you guys want to tank? I mean, I hear this. Everybody wants to tank for Caleb. There's no guarantee for it. I don't think they're tanking. I think they're going to give Trask a chance. Does that mean they're going to tank? I have my doubts. But again, eternal optimist, right? A guy's thrown 9 passes. The running game's there. Mike Evans is there. Chris Godwin is there. I don't know if they're going to tank. It may be a tough year, but we'll see. Mayfield beats out Darnold. They benched him. Haha. Dave says Christopher O'Reilly. Darnold got injured. Then they cut Mayfield and Darnold got healthy. I'll take Lamar. I agree with you.
Oh, yeah.
Cole, Stafford is a joke because he can't stay healthy. Peter, I can't get behind your opinions on the quarterback thing this year. Cole, I know where you're at on this. I get it. But, I'm like one of those guys. I can't do the same thing over and over again and expect different results. I've seen this story happen before. I've seen this team tank Jameis Winston, and that didn't work out. What's any different? Caleb Williams is talented. He's won a Heisman. It doesn't necessarily mean it translates. He's a talented quarterback. I don't know if I see this team tanking, but I understand where you're coming from, Cole, CSB, brother. The Jets have a very young team. Rodgers can teach Wilson if they still want Wilson. I don't think they want Wilson at this point. Would you? I mean, if you're Zach Wilson, and even one of the guys today on NFL Network said, if you don't get Aaron Rodgers, you got to coach this guy up. He was a second-round pick, and they're ready to turn the page on him. So I don't think he's involved in their future plans at all. We start Trask and hope for the game. Brian says, with Dean re-signing, I believe Vontae's days are numbered. Happy, sad, business is business. All right, good comment there, Brian. I don't agree, but a good comment.
Oh, yeah.
I still think they have money to play with there. Well, Chicago is building a team. We'll find out if Fields lives up to the hype, or the hype, not the heights. The hype. But the height and the hype is going to be there for Chicago, absolutely, with Justin Fields. Good stuff, David. Appreciate the comments.
Oh, yeah.
We need another good running blocking tight end. You may be able to get that in the later rounds. Tight end class is pretty strong. We got to keep our trust in Light and company. Absolutely. Christopher Cole says, use the Mason money to re-sign LVD. And a big Will. Ralph says, Patrick Peterson, a Pittsburgh Steeler. How about that? That was a good move today by the Steelers.
Flawless victory.
Like the move a lot. Corey Hall, that's a lie. Mason can pull on power like hell. Travis Feely, can the Bucs give Lamar $48 million and give the Ravens 2 1s and you'd be okay with it? Yes, I would, because you have your quarterback for the next 10 years. Because even though you give him $48 million a year this year and you can make it happen, you restructure next year. And again, is there a guarantee there that he wants that guaranteed money? I'm not sure, but I would do it in a heartbeat. I would. The choices for me are very simple. 26-year-old proven quarterback that can run and is dynamic and make things happen, or somebody has thrown 9 passes and that's cheap. Or somebody that basically has potential, but you know what you got in Baker Mayfield or Jacoby Brissett. Or you take your chances next year, you throw away this year, you throw away a year of Mike Evans and Chris Godwin, and you go with somebody that you don't even know, that's unproven. I don't even know if you can tank or not. Because let's say Trask is actually decent. He's not good, but he's decent. You win 5 or 6 games, that's not going to get you the number 1 pick. You need to be absolutely god-awful this year in order to get that number 1 pick. I want to take any chances. I mean, it's either go all in or don't go all in at all. That's where I'm at. So to answer your question, yes, I'm all in. Peter is savage. Thank you very much, Christopher. Appreciate you. Only if he gives the Florida discount. No state discount. No state tax discount. There you go. There's right there. Christopher Cole says, I would take that trade all day long. Who wouldn't take that trade all day long? I have many Bucs fans telling me, hey, he's off injured. Hey, he's 10 games. Yeah. Deshaun Watson. How many quarterbacks get hurt in this league? You know what you do? Build an offensive line around him. Your offensive line gets automatically better because he's mobile. But on top of it, you have balance to your running game. You have wide receivers you can throw to. You have an offensive system that could work. You heard from JC before. He said it would be the perfect system to put him in. JC knows. So that's why I'm excited about it. Me too, says Travis. Corey, this is a quarterback-driven league. You either got one or you don't. Run the ball all day long, play balance, but there's there's a limitation to it, right? You don't turn over the ball, but is that guy going to be able to make throws? Furthermore, it comes down to business. We always talk about it, the business of sports, the business of football. Are any of those quarterbacks that we talked about tonight going to sell anything at all? Are they going to make people want to come out and watch this team? We could find out here pretty soon. Ugly time every morning looking in the mirror. I don't know what that's about. Was that about my diatribe there with my gray hair? Probably is. And for that, you get this.
This guy sucks.
Let's see. Tulio says Levante already has a championship and the Bills don't, so I'm hoping he stays. Yep, and that's the thing. He doesn't have a champion. He already has a championship. He may want to help a team. They may overpay for him. That's what it comes down to. Got to get Lamar Jackson, says Russ.
Oh, yeah.
All right, let's go back out to these comments from I Love St. Pete. Eric says, okay, we read that comment already. So we're done there for the night. Guys, it's been a banner day, in my opinion, for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Even though they lose Nacho to the New York Giants, they do get Jamel Dean signed to a 4-year deal. $13 million. Again, 4 years, $52 million. Thanks to all the guests for the night. Harry the Greek, professional handicapper extraordinaire of 1252 Chicago Sports. JC Allen of Pewter Report. And, of course, Jason Powers, Powers on Sports Podcast. And if you want to check out a podcast about the history of the Bucs and what's going on in free agency, if you didn't get enough of the sports web there, go to the Buck Power Podcast Network. No quarter given. With my tag team partner of the world, Mr. Jason Powers. Like and follow the Sports Web on YouTube. Like I Love St. Pete, The Hub, and Amped Up Sports. And do 3 things for me. And real quick, have faith in the Glazers. Have faith in Jason Light and Company that they know what's right for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Bring your passion. Bring your excitement. Just don't bring any nonsense. I'm your host, Peter Blake, your Rolex reporter. What time is it? It's my time. And Bucs fans and fans of the sports web, it's your time. Have a great night.